All right, Steve, here we go. It's another Move the Needle podcast. We're live. Where have we found ourselves today?
We are in downtown Octitillo at the beautiful Bottle and Bean.
I've never been here before, and I'm sad about that. It's a cool place, man.
You will be back.
Yeah, I mean, I love the big garage doors that kind of go out to this patio, and the sign on the wooden wall. When you walk in, you look kind of back and to the left, and the bar's really set up nice. They get this great little wine room.
Oh, it's a lovely ambiance. In the morning, it's buzzing here with people of all sorts doing work, going to work.
And like the price of coffee is actually like, it's fair.
And it's delicious. And we're gonna dive in a little bit about that. We're gonna try to find out some of their secret sauce here. I got some questions for them too when Spike's on. So we'll see if he shares.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great show today.
Yes.
We are gonna have the mayor of the city on the show today, Mayor Hartke.
We are.
Wow.
We got Spike Lawrence, who a lot of people know and love, and we're gonna start today with Jovanni and Danny. We'll get to them in just a second. I know that you wanted to pay a little love to some of the other broadcast partners that we've had first.
Yes, our other host venues like Bottle and Bean, off 87 right down the street. Mike and Tammy Butcher, great supporters with the Pizza Butcher. Also Denise.
Jovanni and Danny, that means they pay us.
I see that.
Well, they pay us by letting us into their facility and hosting us and being great hosts is for sure.
That's awesome.
And Divine Gourmet in downtown Chandler with Denise.
That's another gem, man. That's another
and
gem.
Her husband Andrew. They've been fantastic. So again, a shout out to our host venues because they're part of it too. Having these live podcasts is what makes it special, and having them and having the different ambiance. I mean, so a special shout out to them. Just
cool, man.
We'll leave it there. So thank you so much.
How was your week, by the way? Before we get into this, I mean, we're recording this on Tuesday, mid-September. How was your
the
weekend?
The weekend was great. Always great weekend. And
what does that mean?
What does
say that all the time.
That means
it's great. What does that mean?
I mean, that means I do my workouts. I get to my workouts.
Uh-huh.
I check the boxes of my chores, and I take it easy. I'm a take it easy guy on the weekends.
What kind of chores do you have as a grown man?
Well, I have a lot because
You live by yourself?
I live by myself. So it's wash, it's clean, it's everything. So I do it all. So, but that's I do my chores, and I'm happy doing that.
Ladies,
I enjoy love.
And he's single. And he's single. This guy does his own laundry.
And my dishes.
And
that's
incredible.
That's the seller.
Well, listen, welcome to the show. Welcome to the podcast to the both of you, Jovanni and Danny. How was your weekend?
Great.
It's good. What does that mean? But it means it was good. It was a good
Yeah.
weekend. That was good. The weather's going down, so that's always good.
Yeah.
Well, this week 90, but it creeps back up next week. Triple digits.
You guys are true brothers?
Yes.
Who's older?
Oldest. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Danny.
By how much?
5 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 5 years.
Interesting.
I know we're like twins and all that. So
Well, you do look similar to it. Like, there's some features, of course, there, right?
Look like brothers.
But I wouldn't think 5 years. Do you have other siblings?
yeah, we got a younger sister, and she's 4 years than me, and then we have two younger brothers in their 20s as well. So
Okay.
yeah.
Wow.
So five all together.
It's a big family.
Yeah.
Very big family.
Which kind of contributes to your story.
Exactly.
I mean, Steve, you and I know that they're here today to talk a little bit about the East Valley Dream Center, which is something that they dreamed up, quite literally, that showed up in a dream for one of you guys. But let's start at the beginning, because that's always the best story, right? Like, how did you guys talk to me about your upbringing in Chicago and what that was like? Because all of that led to where you are now.
Right.
Yeah, it was cold. It was
It
cold.
was
Yeah,
cold,
Chicago's
man.
Yeah.
So it was really cold, but Danny and I kind of bounced back and forth here. But so we grew up in the 90s in Chicago, And Bulls, that was Strong with the Bulls and
Hell
Michael
yes.
Jordan. That was a great time in the city of Chicago.
Yes.
So we're just looking from the TV, but for us, growing up in a place called Humboldt Park, so Chicago it's big, as you know, but segregated as well. And so there's one spot in the northwest side called Humboldt Park where all the Puerto Ricans kind of live.
Okay.
And so we were born and raised there. Grew up to a single mom, gave birth to all 5 of us, but then 4 different dads. And so there was times we struggled, but we made it through. We made it through, and so none of the dads stuck around. They kind of just left. And so my mom, whether Section 8, welfare, and then we grew up in that neighborhood is just gangs, drugs. I was gang infested. Every other corner was a gang.
Did you guys get wrapped up in any of that?
No, because we're afraid of my mom.
Oh, okay.
So she was a scary Puerto Rican woman, so she put fear into us. So we try to just steer off from there, and then we just kind of seen friends go down that path.
We've seen the ugliness too. The neighborhood is very tight, so it's like our block. I mean, it's a true block, right? So like not that big of a distance, and we've seen people literally open gunfire like from where I'm at to where you're at,
right?
Like at each other. And so we've seen that growing up. And so we've seen the real ugly side of gang violence versus the things that they paint in movies where it's like, oh, they're accepting. They want to raise you up. There's a new family.
It's like a dance off and all that. It's like nothing like that
we
whatsoever.
didn't see any of that.
I wish there was dance offs where we grew
Mean
up.
streets.
Yeah. We've
Mean
seen people
streets.
getting beat up in the middle of the street, shot at. So like obviously those things you're not gonna oh yeah, I really want to do that. So
Yeah.
And then our mom for sure.
Yeah. We just grew up in there, and that was the upbringing. Every year, whether it's gunshots or gangs on the corner, and then everyone went to the local high school and the community schools as well. So that was it. That was normal for us. The Section 8, the welfare,
and our mom's boyfriend was in a gang.
Yeah.
So we've seen a lot of that just through all that interaction and all that craziness, and so we had enough of the gang violence in our house and outside of our house to say that's not the route.
Here's a question I want to ask you guys, and it's something that I love to talk to people about. How old were you when you remember looking around the house going, what the hell is going on?
That's a good question. So Danny always says this, like when we moved here to Arizona and we began sharing this story, we thought this is normal. This is really normal because the city of Chicago. But then when we tell people, they're like, what the hell? You guys experienced that?
Yeah.
And so it was a little off. So for me, I started remembering probably around 6, 7 years old, seeing that gang violence and all that. And like, okay, I don't think this is normal because my friends are coming to school with nice clothes, and then I'm going home. There's really no milk in the fridge and all that.
Yeah, I was probably around 10 or 11. We would go. I remember vividly. We would go to the pool, the local pool, and all the kids are swimming. They all go home to eat.
Yeah.
And we would go home that summer, and there's literally nothing in the fridge. So like a box of baking soda.
Yeah.
And so you have young boys who are swimming the whole day. They're looking to tear through a house, right? And we had nothing. So I think that's the first time I realized, like,
we're poor.
We're poor.
That's the first time we realized, okay, because the park district was really feeding us right there. We're just waiting right there for food.
Waiting to collect change, to buy things from the vending machine, waiting to see if someone gave away free food. So at that point, we realized, we're
not
poor.
like the rest of these kids in here. So
Interesting. Do you think your other siblings had the same kind of feelings?
maybe my sister.
Yeah.
Okay.
My 2 younger brothers, by the time they've a little bit older, my mom was a little bit more established, and stepdad and all that. So
Okay.
My mom's later years were better.
yeah,
Got it.
But for us growing
that's
up, it
good
just
to
wasn't
hear.
like
Yeah.
that.
It's always the oldest kids that got to take it all,
You're the
man.
worst.
Yeah.
The oldest gets the worst.
The oldest are you the oldest?
I'm the
Steve?
oldest,
I'm
so
the
yeah.
oldest too.
Yeah.
It's
This gets the word.
We get it the worst. My brother, he tells me the stories. He just watched me and he said, "I'm not doing that."
Yeah, I think that's how it is in my house, quite frankly.
Yeah.
So tell me about the day that you guys have the dream and you decide that, all the stuff you've seen is something that you want to shape into like a real thing, like a
Right.
tangible thing that can help
I
people.
would say, like, living in Chicago, we were involved in a local church there, and they did a lot of outreach, and we did none of that. Like, I had no, we lived in it, so it was like I had no desire to help those people who were less fortunate at that point. Moving here, I really felt like unsettled to start something. And that thing kind of just stood dormant throughout the years. And then when people would ask, like, wait, what's your dream? What do you want to do? It was that, like, I want to do something that would help people. But it really, I moved here 14 years ago at this point. Jovanni's been here
Like 8
8 years.
Okay.
So you talk about like seven years ago, like we were kind of like doing stuff, but we started feeling like this movement. And then really like almost 5.5 years ago, 6 years ago, it started becoming more stronger. And then 5 years ago, we decided, let's, align. So me and my brother have been together forever, and we've had the same friend group, had all these different things. We've never done anything like this together. We've always had similar jobs, separate places. And this was the first time we were able to do something together.
Do you guys work well together?
Yeah, I mean, the first couple of years it was an adjustment. But,
Of course. Yeah, feeling each other out.
It started going like Danny says. I remember in 2017, I was just reading this in my journal today. I was working at a school at Willis Junior High. I was working there. And I applied to be a police officer in Phoenix, I believe, and I got rejected. I remember crying in my car because at that point in 2017, I'm 28, 29. I'm like, what am I going to do in life? I have nothing to do. I'm old already. And I'm thinking I'm old. And so I remember Danny called me up and said, hey, and I remember I was at the school. He says, hey, I want to start a dream center. Because we went back to our roots.
Okay.
I believe we went through all that trauma, whether the abuse, and I always believe it's for a reason.
Has to be, dude.
And so
or
it's like
it has to be, or what's it
it
worth?
has to be.
What's it's about?
Yeah, we're not gonna leave it just up on the shelf.
Right.
Like we got to use this for something.
Absolutely.
And so he called me up, and then one of our other good friends that moved from Chicago as well. We got together in my apartment, and that was of April of 2019, March, and said, hey, let's start a business, a dream center nonprofit. There's no building, there's no budget, there's no anything. It's just passion. So we went to Costco that night, and we packed a grocery cart full of sandwiches and bread or chips, and we went out to the community and started passing it out. And it just started us three and some friends, and then it just grew from there.
We didn't have a business plan. We didn't have a model. We didn't have anything. We just said, we're going to get this thing going, and hopefully something will begin to unfold and evolve as we're, putting our heads together. And it really did. Like, it did pretty quickly. I think our passion was there. Our passion to work together, and our passion to help people.
Oh, it had to be, because we were going out every day in the summer in Arizona.
Right.
That's hot. So
and not getting paid.
Yeah.
And when was that turning point? Tell us, when was that turn when it really turned the corner when you guys
I think
took
that's
off?
a great question.
Yeah.
Like, when did it get
When
real?
is it?
Would you say it was October, November? We were in Mesa.
Originally.
Originally in Mesa. Like October, I started feeling we should go to Chandler. And so my brother and my friend, like they've been leading stuff on their own separate. So now I'm having to come to them and say, hey, I really feel we need to go to Chandler. And they were like,
yeah, at that point, like you said, we're trying to work. Is like, bro, you ain't gonna tell me what to do. This is what we're gonna do. This is how we're gonna do it.
The investment and the time that's spent.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man. So I go to this meeting. I'm like, this is where I feel like we should go. And obviously, there's a lot of pushback. I don't think so. Whatever. And so then, but they're like, but if this is what you want to do, we'll do it. And it really, like, I felt like April to October was hard. October to probably that next year before COVID hit.
Yeah, COVID.
Things just started to flying.
Yeah.
We just happened to stumble upon the Chandler public housing. We thought they were apartments. Okay. So we just started doing, and we realized very quickly it was a public housing, and people just embraced us really fast and really just wanted to listen to whatever we had to say at that point.
So it's about 4 years you guys been really jamming now. Okay.
And that was a turning point.
That was a turning point.
When we got into those communities, the city of Chandler, and they were welcoming, and the city caught attention as well. And the thing is, we were doing the work prior, because there's a lot of individuals that I want to start a business or nonprofit, and they go up to the city right away, or they try to go up, hey, and it's like, well, what have you done?
Yeah, you proved yourself first.
Yeah, we were just going out every day knocking on doors, and then we presented like, well, we've been doing this for a good 7 months, 8 months already, and it kind of caught their eyes, like, oh, wow, they're in the community.
Money's the obvious answer.
Right.
How does somebody help out your center? Like, what are great ways that, like, when you guys sit around in meetings and you're like, damn, I wish we had this, or I wish if we had this, we could do that. Are there things that you've got your eye on that would be so helpful for you?
I always tell the team, like, I want to be the dumbest person in the room.
Yeah, of
and
course.
So there's so many smart people out there who have so many creativity, great engineering, like just a million ideas. For us, more than money is people. People who have like the desire to, right? Because someone was like, well, I really think you guys need to, help these people on that street. And they're like, they don't want to help them. They think we should help them. But there's people who are passionate and then have giftings that say, hey, I think we should do this, and I know that I can help this get going and do that. And I think more of those people, one, if it fills a need for us, but it fills the need for that person too, so that way we're not having to always push them, like, hey, keep doing this. They're fueled by their passion, so we're just having to guide them.
Yeah, and so that sounds great. And then fast forward to where
spilled your coffee there.
Yeah, I know. I
man.
gotta be careful about it.
Heads up,
Thinking about
Jovanni.
A little extra shot of espresso. in
I
that,
know.
too.
Let's splash our guests.
To fast forward where we are today, okay, you're talking about the past, what it took to get there, some of these detailed stories. I want to hear today. I want to hear. Can you share a story of a family, individuals that you've helped transform recently? Tell us a inspirational
hype reel,
story.
man. Give us
Let's
the
go.
hype reel.
Let's. I want to hear Let's hear the good stuff.
I think for me, as I think of that question, is we started off in 2019 with probably 5 of us, not paid. If you fast forward 4 years later, there's a staff of around 40,
like 45
people getting paid.
Wow.
There's livelihood. So for me, I love the community. I love going to families. But I would never thought as a Puerto Rican kid in Chicago growing up and I love the opportunity that these individuals have given me to lead them, that there's 45 lives in our hands for payroll, because that is a lot.
It's a headache.
Benefits, making sure the morale, because I believe the 9-to-5 job, you spend more time at work than you do at home. So it's like, I want to go to work. So for me, seeing those success stories within our company, with our employees, it just blesses my heart every day. Because they want to come to work, they want to change the community, they want to impact families.
What are those success stories? I mean, tell me. Tell me.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, if you look at community, the public housing was something that, I mean, they became our family really quick.
Right.
There is the widow who, she must have been in her 70s. She's still alive. In her 70s, lost her husband when they were like 50. Her son is paraplegic, and he's like 50 years old right now. And so she's taking care of her son. And so just the story after story of connecting the people, right? The volunteer who lives in Goodyear or Glendale that would drive weekly to help make sure that lady had laundry soap, and make sure that lady had, and then there's a relationship. So that lady, she was Filipino, she would make him food. And it was like, so we tell people all the time, like, hey, this is not a one-side thing. Like, you're not on a mission trip. This is a relationship. And so some of these families would go and take them resources, and they would give back, hey, I was thinking about you guys to make you guys tortillas. And so the relationship that was built over and over again, obviously there's a bunch of names that we can mention. Because it's Chandler, we wouldn't mention names. They live here. But just the individual, the mom, the widow, the connecting them to volunteers who really, really loved them and cared about them enough to drive sometimes an hour out of their way to come spend time with them weekly.
I mean, I think another story you guys will like is financial literacy. That's where we offered.
Yes.
And so we do a lot of individuals in Section 8, and Danny and I grew up in that. And so this is my belief, but for me, it was a help to my mom, but it was also a hurt because this was now the career sheet. It was a jackpot when these people get on Section 8. So we created this financial literacy classes where individuals that are on Section 8 can come to this class and learn the basics of budgeting, the mindset to shift. And so I remember I hosted the first class, and there was a 29-year-old mom, single mom. She had 4 kids, no license whatsoever. And I remember sitting down with her and saying how important a license was. And around 3 days later, she sends me a picture saying, hey, Jovanni, I got my license. It's just a small win in her life.
Yes. Yeah.
And then I know what budgeting is, sitting down with her and going through, hey, this is where your money's going. So for me, that really blesses my heart.
Yeah.
Those success stories in the community. And all
yeah,
that.
those are huge wins. Teaching anybody how to budget their household is a win.
I need to take Jovanni's
I was
class.
going to say, I need some notes on that.
I'm freaking lost over here.
And it's the truth. Like, you have these families that are coming to this class who are opening up their, in a sense, checkbook to show you where they're spending their money. And that's built through trust, right? Like, there's no judgment when it comes to that. So,
well, obviously, I can hear in your guys' voice, and story after story here. I want to know what drives this passion, though. What's that inner in both of you guys that really is making you get up every day and do this? What is that?
For me, I would say like it's my relationship with God. I feel like someone took a chance on us. A youth pastor a long time took a chance on us when we were super poor. And I remember us eating him out of house and home. But that drives, and then it's the fact that there's still so many families who are not helped. I was telling Jovanni, I don't know how long my daughter was going to camp, and I'm sitting in line waiting for the camp registration, and the grandmother is telling her granddaughter, man, I'm so sorry I couldn't afford to get you a luggage, and they have a good bag, and I wish I could get you a luggage. And I'm texting Jovanni, I'm like, man, I want to go right now and just go buy this person a luggage.
Just run over to, to
and I'm like,
Mervyn's or one of those
that's
places.
because I felt that. We have felt that. And I'm like, there's still so many families who don't know what it looks like to have someone give them hope. And I think for me, that still drives us. We're not done.
Yeah. And I would say for me, it's a little different where, of course, as brown Hispanic men in inner city Chicago, I grew up, I feel, whether I graduated my class in 06, out of 330 kids, I was 323. So I always felt I wasn't smart enough. I always felt there were so many rejection letters I got from jobs, from nonprofits that said I wasn't qualified to be an executive or to speak or my grammar. And so
this is why that sting of the police thing was a real thing,
so
too.
that's always in the back of my mind,
okay.
and that helps me honest. Jovanni, they say you can't do it. So for me, it motivates other kids in the community or families to say, if Jovanni Cedeno can do it, then, man, you can do it as well. So that kind of motivates me to get going and learn new things, attend conferences, stretch myself in certain ways that I've never been stretched. So that's what kind of gets me going.
I love it. You know what I heard, Steve, quite honestly, and this is what I think it is. I think you see yourself in every one of these people that you help.
Yeah.
And in a way, you're going back and you're doing for them what you wish somebody would have done for you, too. Yep. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
What a massive hand you give them and a leg up, right? Like, what's the expression? It's not a handout, it's a hand up. You're trying to lift them out of this situation.
And with experience, unfortunate experience.
They can trust them.
Yeah, I mean, they've been there. They've been there. So
how does somebody get in touch with the East Valley Dream Center, should they want to, guys?
Our website's our biggest, right now, platform for that. You can either sign up to volunteer at any events that are listed there. There's a phone number to call there. But really, honestly, we're always open. So someone could just stop by there. They do it all the time. Stop by there. They want to give us random stuff. So, but yeah, if you just want to pop
Define random stuff.
Yeah.
Oh man,
when you say random stuff, people come with couches or something.
Couches.
So
really,
it's just the most unique things.
So we try to just, whether it's clothes or food, those are certain things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like we have 25 gallons of olive oil. I'm like, oh, okay.
Cool.
I don't know a family that needs that, but we'll figure it out.
It's funny they're talking about this because this actually leads me to the last question. Where do you see the Dream Center evolving? I mean, because you're, in the next few years. I mean, where you guys want to take this?
Well, we just got voted in to be in Anderson Junior High.
USD board voted us.
Was that Friday?
It was last Wednesday. So it was a 3-year negotiation to be in the schools. And so they voted us into the school.
So obviously our goal is to embed ourselves deeper into the city.
Okay.
So the school district it's obviously where all the kids are at, families are at. And so we see this thing ever evolving because families' needs are ever changing. But to being at the core of where the city's at, so that's in the public schools.
Yeah, I love it, man.
Yes.
I think when people think about giving back, they always think like the big dogs, but there's all these incredible organizations in our backyard who are having like that immediate turn-on effect. Like that, when you guys go to work, right away somebody feels it, and that's the
sleeves
best.
are rolled up.
Yes.
Here. I mean, there's no.
Well, guys, thank you so much for jumping on and helping us understand that.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah,
really appreciate that. Have you ever met Spike Lawrence, by the way?
Have not. I look forward to meeting him.
So he's going to be our next guest, and thank you guys so much for stopping by. You're welcome to take a seat and keep enjoying the show, and we're going to invite Spike Lawrence to the table. I'll say this. You might not know our next guest by his name, Steve, but you will know him through his work. Projects like the Falls at Octitillo, the Living Room Wine and Cafe, downtown Octitillo, the Waters at Octitillo, Chop Chandler, the Octitillo Executive Building, and the newest project, the new Square Chandler. The most pleasurable aspect of our business is designing, creating, and building spaces that have great meaning to our local community. And it's funny because you read like something like that and you're like, yeah, it's very nice. I can step into this place right here and I can see all of those things in effect. So Spike, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Thank you. Thank
Yeah, sit nice and close to that microphone if you don't mind, man.
Absolutely.
Just eat that thing so we can
you.
hear you.
Thank you.
This is a great spot and a cool concept. And how did this place come to be, the Bottle and Bean?
Yeah, we had a previous coffee tenant here. COVID really wiped them out.
Yeah.
They left. I saw we had to have a coffee place. We had to have a morning spot for the community. Had an opportunity to expand next door into space that used to be a title company, and we created a private dining room for private dinners, baby showers, bridal showers. We've had weddings here. We created a wine room. We sell wine as cheap as Costco and Total Wine, really good varieties. And we have a roof party deck that we have events, cocktail parties and stuff on upstairs. So, and then just recently expanded the patio, which is nice.
It's great with the garage door opener and the whole thing. It's awesome with the garage doors, I mean.
At that weather now, we can roll the doors up and we play music every Wednesday outside. But it just fits in nicely with the rest of the development, which was built in 2008. And we created 5 restaurants here, all right here in Octitillo and South Chandler. So they're all locally owned. And that's
so
the
is
flavor.
it Octitillo or is it Octitillo? Can we just hammer that out right now?
Octitillo.
Octitillo.
It is?
Octitillo.
Why?
Yeah.
How come? Why have I been saying Octitillo and why am I
the
wrong?
previous owner of Octitillo, actually, when I first came down in the 90s, it schooled me on it and told me
Really?
it's Octitillo. I
Okay.
presume that's a Spanish pronunciation of it.
I buy
And
in.
The L's are silent.
So just like we talked to Danny and Jovanni about their start, man, and where they came to be, how did you get into this line of work, man? Like, what's your background?
I grew up here. I grew up in South Tempe, schooled kindergarten through college in Tempe, Arizona State grad, and started a real estate development company right out of college. I had my stockbroker's license, real estate license, and we just raised money from different people in the community we'd gotten to know over the years, and would go and buy a building and refurbish it, redo the parking lot, repaint it, sell it, and then we'd take a piece of the profit, but not until the deal made a profit. And so we syndicated all through the 90s, and then I met a really wealthy investor to back us, built the Falls in 1998, bought that land at Alma School in Queen Creek, and built a specialty retail center. Chandler gave us a beautification award for it, and we brought Keegan's here, brought Payway, Tomaso's at the time, Paradise Bakery, if you remember them. They were awesome.
One of the original Grimaldi's.
Yeah, one of the original Grimaldi's, exactly, our college buddy.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's thriving today, and sold it in 2004, rolled the money into this development, developed where St. Alman is, and brought Holiday Inn to Chandler. And so I stuck a flag in the ground in the late 90s in Chandler, and I just have loved Chandler. It's a great city to do business in.
I admire people like you. You understand this on a whole other level than I could ever lock onto.
Oh, thanks. It's just great doing it in the shadows of where I grew up. I know everybody here, and it's deeply meaningful, and it's great to have a city again that partners so well with the private development community.
Yeah, great vision. And I've got some fun questions on that too. What type of if you had to do any project in Chandler, unconventionally, what would you do? What's on your mind? Something different.
Well, doing the restaurants was unconventional because I'd never done a restaurant, and we created the living room in 2009.
Oh, I love that place.
And then Sea and Smoke, Rock Lobster, Chop. And so that was very unconventional for me as a real estate guy.
What's your thoughts on that? What's your thoughts?
That was great.
Okay.
I mean, they're all still making it.
Okay, great.
Thank God, yeah. So they're all doing well, and we bought a golf course. Didn't know anything about owning a golf course, but brought a partner in that did. Built a hotel in downtown Chandler. Had never done that, but partnered with a guy that had. So I try to shake it up a little bit in my world, but I still like to stay in a lane. Yeah, because every time I try a stock venture capital deal. It sounds really good. And
Stick to real estate.
Exactly, pets.
Yeah,
exactly.
You're doing very well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love it.
for sure you're doing really, really well. What's the hardest part of, because, there's lots of people that would say something like, oh, man, I'd love to own a coffee shop, or, oh, man, I'd love to own a restaurant. What's the hardest thing about getting them off the ground?
Yeah, restaurants are very difficult. Requires a great staff, a great vision, great product, requires the right marketplace. So many things go into restaurants that it's incredibly challenging.
Yeah.
It's a combination of many, many things. I've met people at just leasing them space in the past that had a great recipe, Mama's chicken or chili or whatever that is, and that alone just won't cut it. I mean, there's so many different factors that to go into making a great restaurant.
And speaking of that, what a great restaurant. I want a question on your coffee. Talk to us about your coffee blend. We're at Bottle and Bean. I'm enjoying one of your mochas here. Is there a special blend of coffee? Can you talk to us about the
Patrick
coffee?
O'Malley, I got to give a shout out to. He's the
I'm going to write this
roaster.
down. Patrick
Tempe,
O'Malley.
downtown Tempe.
Okay.
By
Local guy.
yeah, right there by what's the old beer place that was owned by ASU guys? No, it sold to Budweiser.
Oh, not Gordon Biersch.
Damn, that
No,
sounds like a good
right
buyout.
on Fifth Street. Gosh darn it, I'm drawing a blank. But it's the local brewery. It made it big. Then they sold to Budweiser. Anyway, they're right
Bandersnatch?
No, it's on the east side.
Talk about going back from the
know.
past.
A lot of memories there.
No kidding.
But anyway, Patrick O'Malley gets a lot of credit. He's known throughout the world, sources his beans all over the world, and it's right there in downtown Tempe. And so he's bear hugged us from the beginning. It's his machine, espresso machine, that he had a hand in building and creating. So we had great guidance there.
You got a special blend you could share?
Yeah. I don't know enough about
you don't
coffee to tell you. Yeah. I can tell you about real estate,
Okay,
but
I have a random question for you. So you chop the Waters, living room, all these places. You don't pay for your meals when you go to these places, do you?
I do.
You do?
Yeah. Well, we
You
made
would think
a rule.
that it would be
We made a
comped
rule.
on some level,
There
but
is
okay.
there is a discount.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a discount. But
The ownership discount.
yeah, we have partners in each of the restaurants, and we made a pact because we're heavy consumers of food and beverage.
Yes.
And so we've made a pact that we'd wipe ourselves out if we just sat there and ate and drank for free all the time.
Yeah,
So
I
we
guess you're
agreed to
right.
take a nice discount.
The friends and family.
The friends and
Oh,
family.
that's a
rate.
good way.
Yeah.
See, this is why you're good at business.
Yeah.
Because they're spending money at their own places, so
Right.
it's good for everybody. It's
Yeah.
a win-win for everybody,
Right?
right?
Yeah.
Encourage you to go out and spend more.
Yeah.
In your own places.
Do almost daily.
When did you meet him?
So again, we have an interesting past. We were talking about this.
Oh, boy, here we go.
When I moved,
Story time, everybody.
Story time, 1993. When I launched my university product that you know about,
Yeah.
Spike also did a university product. And he was working. You to tell him share about your product.
Started the Devil's Tail. It was ASU sports newspaper, and went
Amazing.
to 15,000 people, and sold ads based on that.
So we were selling ads together. So people were like, "Do you know?" And when I was a kid, we were 24. Do you know? We have mutual friends. We were talking about Grimaldi's. They were like, "Do you know Spike Lawrence?" No, I just moved here from Boston. No, I didn't know him, but we vicariously known each other literally since not just passing by. You'll admit it. Like, there's Spike. He does this. We were selling ads for different products, but they both did well. They both were there for a long time. So, but we didn't know each other kind of. And then I've been doing business down here in the Octitillo area for quite a while. And I've actually been one of the investors in one of Spike's. I own one of the condos in the Cays right behind here because I believe in what he developed down here. And when I had a choice, I actually came in this coffee shop. I made the decision here. I said, where do I want to live? And I said, this would be a great place for me. We talked about this single guy.
Who does all of his chores.
Does all my
Laundry,
chores.
dishes,
Yeah.
dresses himself.
Impressive.
But I could actually come down here and enjoy different types of restaurants, which I have. And I have seen Spike out many times here, and he's correct. I mean, so I've really enjoyed living down here. So I'm part of this community, actually.
Yeah, we created with downtown Octitillo and the Waters Octitillo a walkable, sustainable, 24/7 development. It's got an urban feel in a suburban environment.
For sure.
It really
Right?
does.
We're down
But
here.
then there's
on
the lake or the little pond right in the back of it.
The waterway system was developed back in the 80s for all of Octitillo. It was actually ahead of its time. It's a reclamation gray water project. So all that water that Intel uses in their chip manufacturing, they're cleaning it with the city. The city's cleaning it and sending it back out. So
Oh, that's cool.
This is a great state-of-the-art gray water system, and all these lakes were in the 80s. That developer went under, but everyone that followed, me included, got to benefit of all that infrastructure that was created down here.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It really is. It's amazing to just enjoy down here. And like Spike mentioned, there's a lot of activity. But I will say, later on in the night, I mean, you really feel that kind of away suburban feeling. It gets quiet here, which is nice.
Yeah, very much
Yeah,
so.
yeah, it does.
Best of both worlds, right?
Yeah, best of both worlds. You can go out and get some action, and then it is quiet at night. So it's a good.
Are you philanthropic with some of this, like all of the blessings you have?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to learn more about the Dream Center.
I
I'm
mean,
really,
that place
really
sounds
excited
incredible.
to hear what those guys are doing there. Want to know, and I prefer local charities.
For sure.
I give every year. We raise quite a bit of money for the poorest kids in our Chandler Unified School District, and we have a giving tree that we do here at Bottle and Bean. Community members come in, they grab a tag, and it'll say, they don't say the name, but they'll say, young boy.
Yeah, age
8,
9.
wants this, and this. He's on his dream, his wish list. They'll grab it, they'll grab the present, bring it back to our office, or here at Bottle and Bean. Our office is right next door, and then the school distributes anonymously to these kids and make their Christmas. Yeah, and we do that, and I've given money also, donations to the same cause, to where I had, through Christine Ellis, she helped me with a plan I was a Toastmasters student and lover of Toastmasters. I felt a real need to help the kids in the most disadvantaged districts to learn how to publicly speak, to get up in front of their peers.
What a great tool.
Yeah.
Right, because every time you go to interview, you need to be able to communicate.
Right.
Yes.
And so we did a program, and I funded it to help them learn how to speak.
I see
in
a
front of-
partnership between the Dream Center.
Yeah, right.
You hear that,
Yeah.
guys? I hear you.
He loves it.
I'm
Yeah.
going to stir the pot right now. I
Yeah,
see some good
absolutely.
stuff
Yeah.
happening here.
And I know just from Spike too, he's also involved with the Thunderbirds, and I know they've got some. They do some great stuff. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we've been around since 1937. It's an organization of all volunteers.
And these are the Thunderbirds that everybody sees at the Waste Management
with
Phoenix
the
Open.
goofy tunics,
Yeah.
the blue tunics.
And
I
he's
know.
one of them. He's there.
The turquoise, and
Yeah.
But what a great organization, group of men. And we give more money away than any tournament in the world. We'll give between 15 and 20 million bucks a year away.
Holy
it's
smokes.
all to local charities with emphasis on women and children. We built a beautiful apartment community for battered women and children where they can flee to immediately.
Amazing,
And there's a
man.
home, there's counseling, and it's safe if they're in an abusive situation. And we have a good time doing it too. If you've been to the Open,
Yeah, it's the biggest party on earth, right?
love the Thunderbirds. Yeah, it's a great group,
It's awesome.
and you're in it for life. Luckily,
Is that right?
Yeah.
Unless you mess up
a
royally.
lifetime. Yeah, exactly, exactly.
and there's a lot of potential at that. If you're still in it and you've been going
Yeah.
there for years,
Yeah.
you're good to go.
I want to steal one of Steve's kind of signature questions, which is, what's the vision for you, bud? What's next?
It's more the same.
Is it?
I love creating placemaking
Okay.
in real estate. That's the term we use, where you create a place that it's experiential, where people want to be there. And it doesn't trend in and out with big box retail, for example. And we were creating the little salons and restaurants and experiential things. And I'm going to stay in that lane to where it's live, work, play developments.
Well, and this place, it screams all of those things.
Yeah.
Because it's a podcast, and I guess on the video you'd be able to see some of this stuff if you're watching us on YouTube. But you walk in the front door, and then you have you kind of your coffee shop and restaurant feel. But then there's a room right off to the right. What's it called?
The wine room. It's great. It's got.
So this is like I'm talking about
Oh,
this
we got
front
the
room.
private dining room.
Yeah, what is this?
It's
It's called like Spike's Place
Spike's,
or something.
Yeah, Spike's room. But,
Yeah.
but we throw bridal showers, baby showers, all
Really?
the time. Business meetings. We have state-of-the-art AV equipment from American Sound that we can broadcast. We can have a big Zoom call. So it's a multi-purpose room. And when it's not being used for any of those activities, you see in there's probably a dozen people
You're just working away.
Just working away in a quiet atmosphere.
Yeah, it's dope. And then you have the
Then
wine
you can
room.
go to the wine room and get a bottle of wine and pour yourself some wine. It helps the brain, stimulates the brain a little bit.
And then you're out. Then you're out to the patio.
Then you go to the patio and you listen to music on the lawn, the brand new lawn. So we're gonna have some fun with this place.
It's well thought out. It's well
Thank you.
designed, man.
Thank you.
And I'm excited to see what's next. I mean, it's safe to say that most of what Spike gets his hands on turns
Yes.
out to be something.
Absolutely. In New Square, we were talking about New Square. Move the Needle will be in New Square, I believe. When is that event? November?
Yes, I had it in my calendar.
Is it November 9th or 2nd?
I believe it's,
We will be at New Square because I have a question for that.
I don't know what New Square is.
He's going to talk about New
Yeah.
Square. New Square
okay.
is in downtown Chandler.
Okay.
That's going to be our first live outside event.
Okay.
It's already booked. He's going to check the date.
What's New Square? Help us understand that.
and there's a great event that day. So
yeah,
let's
so
talk
it
about
was
that.
it was an RFP. The city assembled a beautiful 4-acre square immediately south of the old square, which is over 100 years old. A lot of history there with the historic San Marcos Hotel, and these buildings are over 100 years old. And there's all these cute little restaurants and shops there, and so we called ours New Square because we won the RFP from the city. You're blessed to get their nod, and built a hotel, Hilton Garden Inn, built a square with an event square with stage and all the sound equipment, and
Right on.
perfect for little rallies, little events, little bands.
There
Yeah.
will be.
Okay.
Yeah. And then on either side, we've got a 3-story office building. We've got DC Steakhouse. We've got a Stillery, which is live from Nashville, live music daily. So it's a fun little mixed-use development. And that was the one I
Something for us
most
to look
recently
forward
did.
to.
And did we get the date? Did we find that? Did they confirm that date?
It's the
And
it's the same as the Kilt Classic, isn't it?
Yes, that's what you
Which
said, the
is-
Kilt Classic.
Or when's the Kilt Classic? November 2nd or 9th?
We'll figure this out.
Yeah, we'll figure this out.
does not
Yeah.
have to be hashed out at this
But
moment.
we will be there live. We've already set it up, and that so we will be. You'll experience this live.
I'm ready.
Yeah. And so the event there, you're
We're raising money for fallen firefighters.
Okay.
All of us are wearing kilts.
Oh,
So go get your kilt.
Look at this bag. There's gonna be
We've
bag.
got
live. Tell me about the
we've got an
bagpipes.
I
awesome
love
We've
bagpipes.
we've got an awesome bagpipe group it's the 2nd. It's November 2nd. Okay,
Okay.
everyone come.
Yeah, we'll put the invite in the
wear
show
your
notes.
kilts. We're raising money for fallen firefighters. The chief, our fire chief for Chandler, will be there with some men and a big ladder truck, and it's all for a great cause. But it's fun. Listening to
gonna
that
be fun.
bagpipe band,
There's
20
nothing better.
strong.
And Move the Needle will be live there and interviewing guests, and we'll be part of that. We'll be
And,
part of
and
the
then we
whole event.
follow them bar to bar. They'll get up on the bar and play their bagpipes. It just gives you chills. It's awesome.
Of course, it does give you
It's
chills. The
so
pipes
good.
are the thing that gives you chills.
Yeah.
Well, we look forward to that. Spike, thank you so
Yeah.
much for being on our
Thanks, guys, for
podcast
having me.
today. I
Appreciate
want to
it.
ask you before you go.
Yeah.
Do you know Kevin Hartke?
Very well.
Yeah. What do you
Great-
think? What do you think about him before he
great
jumps on the
mayor.
podcast here? Because he
Great
can't
mayor.
hear us yet. He can't hear us yet.
Has supported everything that I've brought forward to him, so he's the best.
Yeah. All right. Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again for
Yeah,
being
thanks,
with
you
us.
guys.
Thanks for
Appreciate it.
hosting us at Bottle and Bean as well.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Appreciate that. Kevin, step right up, buddy. It is time for you to join the Move the Needle podcast. Mayor Kevin Hartke's lived in Chandler
good to
since
see you.
1985. He served on the city council for 9 years and mayor for the last 3. Continues to serve as a pastor at Trinity Christian Fellowship in Chandler, where he's worked since 1985. He's a smart guy, having received multiple degrees. But one of my favorite things about you, Kev, is that you were a little soccer coach for the YMCA once upon a time, right? So how old were these kids that you were teaching soccer? Do you remember?
I sure do. This was, I started because I was a soccer player in high school and was offered a couple college scholarships. I didn't take them. I wanted to go to the Mizzou instead. But so when my kids got of age, I decided I wanted to be their soccer coach. So
That's
I've coached
awesome.
all 4 of my kids.
Yeah, I've been a youth hockey coach for 17 years, and it's a labor of love most of the time.
We were the Captain Crunch Crunchitizers. So every game we would bring a box of Captain Crunch and eat it and then wear it as a hat. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's so cool. You know, Kevin and I go way back.
Yeah, I
Steve.
wanna
Do you-
hear. I
There's
wanna hear.
there's a story here. There's a story
I'm
here.
looking
That's
forward
a
to hearing.
good story.
Once upon a time, I used to have a radio show, and once upon a time, we had a guy named Justin who came up with this idea to have this Battle of the Burbs contest. And it was where cities would literally rally together and cast votes. I think they had to go to our website to do all of this stuff, right? And the city of Chandler ended up in this outstanding battle with Queen Creek.
We did. It was, I think,
Or Maricopa, I'm sorry.
Maricopa was, the
Yes.
second year. And I think the first year was maybe Casa Grande. But
that's it.
we rallied the forces, and
They won.
We made so many phone calls, and this came with a huge trophy with a cactus in it.
Yeah.
And we planted both of the cactus at our Veterans Oasis Park. If you want to go visit them, you can say hi. I can show you where they are.
That's amazing. I would love to see them.
And then for a couple of years, the trophies bounced around different businesses in downtown Chandler, and now they've ended up in my office. So I look at them fondly and proudly.
That is so cool. Yeah, so that's how we came to be many, I don't know, maybe 8 years ago?
It was before I was mayor.
Yeah.
And you said something to me. I told, when I was running for mayor, he said that, you can't win this unless you win mayor.
Yeah.
So I ended up, I think, on the same year winning the prize, the prize
of the Burbs.
trophy, and I was elected mayor
There you
too.
go. Yeah, it was. So it was a call. You called the shot. Okay, there it was.
Hey, he called the shot.
He called the shot.
This guy gets the work
That's
done.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, it's great to hear that story. I know you guys went way back. I saw the picture of that. I didn't know the background. So
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Why do you do all this community service, man? Where does this come from?
You know, I love this city, and I've always been just leaned towards giving. And today to me was a perfect day. I started off the day with Chandler's first ever Constitution Day. We had We the People debate team from Hamilton High School came, and they wrote a song about out of the kind of the genre of Alexander Hamilton.
Okay.
And then talked about the relevance of the Constitution. So from that to Daughters of the American Revolution, came and explained the history. We had a constitution that everybody signed, and then I spent an hour with these students, and they grilled me about questions. So that was a start, and then I just ended with a food box giveaway. And this was why I love Chandler. The truck broke down, the lift broke down, and so we got on the phone, and before you knew it, I had 4 other organizations rushing with power jacks to come. Chandler Unified School came with 4 of them to unload this, but when the lift broke, we backed up their vehicle to this, and it was just amazing that at phone calls, 4 other organizations were willing to give me a hand on this, and we had 100 cars show up, and we loaded them down with about 80 pounds of food each, mostly seniors. And it was really cool that Chandler is such a city that loves to work together and support each other. So from working with kids in the morning to helping seniors this evening, it's a really cool day.
Yeah, buddy. That does sound like a perfect day.
Yeah, that actually you answered a question. I don't even have to ask you.
But he's going to anyway.
I was going to
Here
ask
it
you
comes.
anyways, but I think you already asked. I was going to say, where your values and your skills. From your pastoral past, how does that translate into being a mayor? Is that the things that you're talking about? I guess that's why I was saying he's just that
walks the
sounds
walk,
like
man.
that's the mayor. He's
walks
not
the
only the
walk.
mayor. He's doing this. He's doing that. So if you could elaborate on that, or did you answer that?
No, I think there's a lot of crossover skills. As a pastor and a mayor, you realize you live in a glass house. No matter where you are, somebody knows you, and it's awfully good that, you just treat everything you're in public. You always look at the headline test, and public speaking is an excellent skill in both of these. And I really look at the city as a large parish, if you want to use those phrases, even though I'm not Catholic by that. But I really treat the city as, how can I be a disseminator, a dispenser of God's blessings upon the city? How can I change the trajectory of not just individuals, but of generations? And I get to do that, and it's amazing.
Good for you.
I mean, that's pretty impactful. And I guess, what I've heard about from the business community is just that the mayor is he's just involved. And that's how, Darwin obviously connected us together. And he's a busy real estate agent and also a supporter of the show, who really told me, because he knows the mayor personally, and when he was talking about these type of things, that he's down to earth, he's involved, and he's about relationships. So
the kids would say he's the real one.
That's what I said before without me knowing anything. That's what was passed to me. So I appreciate the story and answering that. Straight on. That's amazing. So
you know what's funny to me is that we've had the East Valley Dream Center. We've had that conversation. Spike's talked about his philanthropic work. You have too. And I wonder if people are going to listen to this podcast and be surprised at how many people need a little bit of help here, right in our own backyard of Chandler. And I think that would probably surprise people, wouldn't it?
It would. Definitely. I think every kid can use someone that believes in them. It doesn't matter their economic strata. You can stare a teenager in the eyes and tell them they're amazing in a variety of ways. It just is incredible. And from that to just pause and have moments with people. Everyone, no matter where they are, no matter what their economic strata is going through some kind of a battle. And, it's we're really blessed in Chandler for a variety of reasons. Economically, we're just firing on all cylinders right now, but it's just good to realize. And I think that was a COVID lesson, to realize that everyone's going through a battle, and treat them with respect and pause and take time to understand that.
Is the mayor still a position where, I'm trying to frame this question, because, the political landscape right now is a disaster. Is being the mayor still like a small enough role where that kind of crap doesn't fall into it?
No.
It
depends on the mayor. I could tell you a lot of train wreck stories in other cities that I'm not going to, because they're my friends. But we work really hard on getting along in Chandler. Okay. We don't bring our drama to the days. We genuinely work hard to work together. If a company wants to sink billions into your community, they're looking for stability. Stability starts with mayor and council. And if you are chopping your legs off, if you are throwing bombs at each other, why would a company think that, this is a stable community?
Sure, great point.
So we don't do that. That's where vision starts, is we will, if we disagree with things, we will do it respectfully. And that's a lost art politically. But it pays off, but I know other cities that I need to discover that.
Yeah,
and I think
such a nice way to put that.
I would also say that at a city level, we understand that there's a lot of give and take to get things done, and I think that's a lost art politically, where if your politics are scorch and burn, you don't get things done. Yeah. All you do is you increase the tension, and you make people not happy to be around you.
Yeah, well, and I think that, to me, that's a leader's job, is to bring people together.
Yeah.
Right? No matter where you see it, because if we can debate this thing out, I bet we end up with something pretty cool.
I couldn't agree more. And I still think the best legislation is bipartisan, because otherwise, if you're nationally, if you're just moving the dial, so to say, by presidential orders, the moment that president is gone, so are the orders, right?
Right.
And the same with
everything
the governor.
starts from scratch.
Yeah. And so you have this huge winds that go back and forth. But if you go through the hard work to say, we're going to make this work, and I'm not going to get everything that I wanted, and you're not, but this is going to be enduring work. That's the work that has crafted Arizona for waterworks, for example, and some long-term legislation is, it just takes work, and you got to be willing to come to the table.
Okay.
Yeah. And, talking about getting things done, I've got a more of a pointed question for you, Mayor. What are your three...
Easy, nice. Okay, he's had a long day.
But
he's been serving the community.
He does so many...
It's been a great day.
Listen, he does so many great things. I just want to know, what's your top 3 things that you want to get accomplished here in your last term before you're done? What's on your agenda here?
Boy, that's a good question. I want to work out a water deal with a Roosevelt Conservation District that we've been at a bit of just a standstill for the last 5 years. I want to get that done.
Okay, check.
There are. I'm doing. Spike Lawrence, our previous speaker, has just agreed to serve on our bond committee. Because of inflation, it's chewed up our last bond. I want to get that passed next November. And with the excellent people like Spike helping, we'll get that to the voters and beyond. I've got a general plan I want to get done that you do every 10 years that will really spell out the future of Chandler for the next decade as we shift from horizontal to vertical as we're close to build out. It'll redefine some of the land uses that we need to take a second look at. I want to get that done. So those are 3 big lift issues. But housing is huge. Water policy that is huge. And I'm also the president now of Arizona League of Cities for the next 2 years. So I represent every city in negotiating with our legislators. I'm the chair of MAG, Maricopa Association of Governments. So I want to get with them. I want to find a accord with the EPA. Mm-hmm. And as well as to get this transportation thing, the Prop 479 across. So I've got, with every group, I've got several goals that I want to get done.
Yeah, thank you so much for that detailed answer on that. But I do want to talk about that I did see a little...
Yeah, and I don't know much for 3, and I gave you 5.
Yeah, give me 5. But that's okay. I had a question.
He's like, this is going to be really hard for me to answer. Yeah. Here's 5.
What you led into another question because I don't know what that acronym stands for. I was trying to read up on it. MAG. So and I know that mayor is now on the executive chair, correct?
Yeah.
And I don't know much about it. So maybe can you give me like the elevator pitch on what
so
this
first
is?
of all, every organization, especially government, loves to have their acronyms, right?
Got it, man.
This one's simple. Maricopa Association of Governments, MAG. Pinal County has a PAG, P-A-G, and it's the group that the federal government works with air quality here. It's also the group that all the cities, all 23 cities and the tribes, as well as local counties work together to form a transportation plan.
Okay.
So it largely covers things like transportation, air quality, homelessness, things that transcend individual city borders that affect us all.
Okay,
all right, man.
Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you for that. That's a great explanation. I was reading a little bit up on that. I read about the air quality. That's one of your passions, and I know that's part of that. Well, so.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I have always respected you from afar, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just certain folks that you meet and you look at them in the eye and you say, okay, that's a good guy. That's a gentle guy. Like that's a guy who means well. It's a guy who walks the walk. And I've kind of always thought that about you.
It's a leader. It's a good leader.
And when you're at Spike's place, the new square, I will be in my office looking down at you. Actually,
Really?
I might see if I can find a kilt that's right across from City Hall. So I play Frogger often to cross the street to go over there. So,
speaking of playing Frogger, somebody had mentioned they may.
Wait, I can't wait for this.
You
segue.
may
You
see
said,
the mayor.
Speaking of Frogger, where
speaking
are we
of
going
Frogger,
next?
you may see the mayor on some of the hiking trails in Arizona.
Oh,
Is
yeah,
that
that's
true?
right. Yeah, we've talked about that.
I want to know, real quick, when was your last hike, and tell me a couple of your favorite hikes.
my last hike was up at I've got a cabin at Mormon Lake, and usually when I go up there, I hike up Mormon Mountain and back.
Okay.
There you go.
So that's a fun vertical hike. I've done about 24 rim-to-rim hikes.
24?
I've done 7 Havasupai hikes. So I've done all the big hikes in
He's
Arizona.
an avid hiker.
I
There you
am.
go. If you didn't know that about the mayor, you do now.
Yeah, and tonight when I leave here, my wife and I are going to go put on our shoes and do it's a full moon and a lunar eclipse night.
It's been a
tonight.
beautiful couple of
Yes.
moon nights, too,
Yeah,
man.
so when I leave here, I will go home, and that's our next plan.
Final question. You brought her up just a second ago. You've been with Lynn for 40 years.
43 years, yeah.
What's the secret sauce, man?
Several things. I think is realizing that I don't look to Lynn to be my ultimate source of happiness. I think anytime you place that on an individual, you're doomed, right? There's no way that people can live up to all of our things. So being in it 100% mutually, finding your life that you share, but also you're in it to give and not just receive, and realizing that communication is an everyday thing. You can't rest on your laurels. So relationships are work in a very positive sense, but the work is worth it.
Yeah. Well, I always think that, because I'm going to be, I'm going on 20 years in a month. My wife and I'll be at 20 years.
Yeah.
And I always, when you meet people who are married for a few years, they think of 20 like, holy smokes, you've been together 20 years, and they say like, what is the secret? Mm-hmm. And I think it's all of the things that you mentioned, and I always add to that. I always say, and I think the other thing is you have to be okay when it doesn't feel great for a week or two. Like, you just got to go, all right, we're not vibing for a week or so, and that's fine. It's fine. We'll get back on track.
Yeah, and as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, I am single, but I was married for a long time, and so I do know what the mayor's talking about. You can't letting things go.
Yeah.
If you let like they say, if you let things go brick by brick, walls get built between people.
That's good.
And
That's good.
I think you gotta it's unfortunate. We made it almost 25 years, and a lot of people are like, wow, you made it 25 years and you couldn't go further. Well, again, like, I'm not going to tell that story. Things happen between people.
Oh, I think it's fine.
And it's fine. I mean, we obviously have great kids together and still love for one another. But there is what the mayor said and what you say, keeping those marriages alive. I mean, there's work to it. We know that. So
without it, you're done. Kevin, thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
It's great to see you guys.
Yeah,
It's great to see you.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah,
thank
you're
you.
absolutely welcome.
Appreciate
And to
it.
Spike
Anytime.
Lawrence and the crew here at Bottle and Bean and the East Valley Dream Center with Jovanni and Danny, it was such a fun Move the Needle podcast.
Yeah, and
today.
we'll have you back again for some updates too. We'll be doing these, as we mentioned, October 9th in downtown Chandler. Craft 64 will be there live, and
right.
We'll also be down in the square. November 2nd.
Yeah, Kevin said he's going to put on his kilt and come hang with us.
With the kilts. And before we go, again, I want to a quick shout out to thank you to our sponsors, Brooklyn
Please.
V's and Darwin Wall Real Estate. Thank you for your support in sponsoring us and keeping the show alive in the community and referring some amazing guests to us as well.
Love it, man. We'll
Yeah,
see
thank
everybody
you.
next time on our
Yeah.
Move the Needle
Thank you.
podcast. Good job
Thank you,
today,
man.
everyone.
Great job. Thank you.